Welcome everyone to Politically High Tech with your host, Elias. You know what? This guest is going to get an award already. Yes, this is not a participation trophy kind of thing. I'm against that. Believe me, I am. He has the most interesting glasses. That's the award he's going to get. For those of you who are listening, and feel free to correct my colors because I found out my color perception is not as great. And if my ego was a person, it'd been killed 100 times already. So don't worry about it. More of them could be killed. He has like a fuchsia pink with some teal, I think, or green. I mean, he's making me look old and outdated. Like I'm from the 1800s or something. I mean, this is such bad. And he's much more seasoned. I'm not using the old word than I am. All right. Let's just say it like that. And he's keeping that youthful fashion in spirit. So if that doesn't tell you where this conversation is going to go, I think you're in a coma. If you have some brain cells, even suspicious brain cells, you have an idea where this is going. Okay. And I normally don't introduce him this way, but he has a lot of credentials, especially innovative. I am even going to throw business consultant. I mean, all I'm going to say is he's going to challenge the way we normally think. And to be honest, some of it sounds bonkers to me. I mean, how can little children teach adults? Is he mad? How can a little toddler teach an adult anything? Or just maybe there's a method to his madness. Just maybe. All right. But on a serious note, he does got a lot of credentials. And before we get into it, let's welcome Alan Gregerman.
Greetings. Thanks for inviting me. Delighted to be on the show.
Oh, no problem. So for starters, when you want the audience and the listeners and the viewers to know about you?
I want them to know that I'm super passionate about innovation and that I believe all of them have the power to innovate, and all the companies and organizations they're part of have the power to innovate. But I also want them to know that most people and most organizations go about innovation all wrong. And so hopefully during the conversation, we'll get into that. We'll talk a bit about it. I've been an innovation consultant. I hate to admit it, for the folks who are just going to listen to the audio, they won't see that I have a little bit of gray hair, for 37 years. So I started our company. We're an innovation consultancy 37 years ago. At a time, innovation was, you had to actually kind of kick in the door a little bit to tell people they needed to be more innovative. It wasn't a trendy thing. Now, everybody talks about innovation. You can't go on a corporate website that doesn't say we're innovative. I don't believe they're all innovative, but you got to say it, right? It's like the lowest common denominator, or what do they call that? The minimum daily adult vitamin requirement. And so everybody talks about it, but I think they go about it mostly in the wrong way. So hopefully in our conversation, we'll share and talk about and exchange some ideas about how innovation actually happens and how we can all use it and how we can all be way more innovative.
That's true. People just throw innovative. The difference, see, this is where my skepticism, cynicism comes right in. Are you really innovative, or you're just saying that because it's a buzzword? You want to fit in with the cool kids, like this. I hate to say like that. The nerd that tries to fit in and be cool. But people see it as get out. You're not cool. You're not innovative. You're still playing with those little, I don't know, G.I. Joes for 1990s. We're in 2025, for Christ's sake. But play in a video game or something, okay? We don't do that anymore. Probably a little too dramatic, but you get my point. Some companies do have that old mindset, but he's just trying to say innovative because they're trying to, they desperate. The cool kids would call that thirsty. Okay. Let's just say that, and that's low riz. They a little Gen Z slang. Yes, be feared that your, millennials, we have mastered, I would say 80% of the Gen Z slang. So you're not that cool, and I'm happy that I'm giving you fear and chills. I don't care if it's considered cringe. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Before I derail this, any credentials you want to show off to our professional, intelligent audience, including you Gen Zers, but just don't admit you're cringe, okay?
Well, yeah. So I'd like to say that I have a lot of credentials that really aren't typical for somebody in business. But to sum it up, I have a PhD in geography actually. And so that's not the typical business credential. But I've worked as a subway mechanic, a hotel housekeeper, a librarian. I assembled office furniture and delivered it. Uh, I've had a lot of different jobs that are part of my credentials, I have to be honest. But more importantly, I hope my credentials are that I'm an open minded guy who's kind of keen on learning and curious about most things. And I hope in the conversation we'll get to the notion, because you mentioned earlier, my first book was about what adults can learn and companies can learn from children about how to be innovative. And if I were to pick the number one thing as kids, we were all curious. Okay. As adults, somewhere between like the school bus and the world of work, most of us lost the knack for being curious. And that's a fundamental thing you need if you're going to be innovative.
Traditional minded people, mic drop, curiosity. Are you curious? Let me speak to the adults that are 25 years young and older. I would say the 18 and 25, that's kind of the gray area. And definitely older. Do you feel old when you're thinking because you're not being curious? You just go by the routine, just do you're told, question things, especially if it seems off or outdated. I mean, that's an honest question to ask. I mean, it's funny. Me personally, I've selectively used the curiosity, mostly because it was either fear or I just used the excuse I don't got time to think about it. I mean, that's the main thing. I don't got time to think about it. My kids are doing this. You get caught up with all these things. I think curiosity takes a back seat. Mild case and worst case scenario is just gone, and they're gonna have to find that curiosity and revive it, if you will.
Well, I think it's like a necessity. I mean, the reality is, as you know, because you talk to so many people about a fast changing world, whether it's AI or other stuff, the world 5 years from now, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but it's going to look way different than the world now. If I'm not curious about what I need to learn, what I need to know, what I need to do, I'm not going to be relevant 5 years from now. So I'm not the youngest guy on the planet, but I'm constantly learning things. I'm constantly asking questions. I am wandering around looking for cool ideas, looking for clues as to where the world is going. I'm going into restaurants in which I not only order from a QR code, um, I'm not even sure a person's going to deliver my food. Maybe a robot's going to deliver my food. I go into modern art museums to try and figure out what artists are thinking about. I go into neighborhoods that are kind of energetic and lively at night. I go to concerts by artists I've never heard of, or certainly never heard their music. And so I just feel like if we're going to keep up, we got to see where the world is going and we got to get there.
He's young where it counts, the heart and the mind. Because once you are old at those two areas, how can I put this bluntly?
But
No,
unfortunately,
delicately.
he's done.
No, yeah, you're dead. You're gonna die. All right. I'm just gonna say it like that. You're gonna die if just look. He may have gray hair. For those of you audio, he's like he has black hair and all of
I don't
that.
have a lot of hair, let's be honest.
Oh no, he wants to be honest. Fine, I'll be honest. For the audio people, I'm trying to spread propaganda, misinformation right there. Never mind. He ruined it. He ruined it. No, but but it's good to have that curiosity. And me, I'm trying to rebuild that back because it's been dormant. As it's like a kid just play with a light switch. It's on and it's off and it's on and it's off. But I want to keep it on, like jam it on to even permanently on. That's like goal I want to reach to be clear about that, because I feel like you just once you just go by the motions with it becomes autopilot. Yeah, your life becomes autopilot. Just do A, B, C, D, wake up, brush your teeth, do work, come home, sleep. And then that cycle repeats itself. In a day, days, weeks, months, years, decades fly by real quick because you're just so stuck in the routine. I mean, I say curious, stay curious, people. I'm sure I took that somewhere. Don't copyright strike me, but I know it's cheesy for you, but stay curious. All right.
No, you
That's
got
the
to
main
do that.
point.
And think about this. I mean, most people are going to the office on a Monday, okay? And they're hoping the week is okay. But they've had a nice weekend and now they go more of the same old whatever it's called. And then They say, we're doing okay. Our company's doing okay. My job is okay. My career's okay. And maybe it is that Monday, and maybe it is next Monday. But a few Mondays from now, it's not going to be okay. You know, your career is going to get disrupted by another person or AI or some combination. Your company is going to be disrupted not by somebody in your industry, but by somebody who has a way better idea for how to do what you do. And so after a certain number of Mondays, we better be curious because if we don't, someone's going to eat our lunch.
You've been warned, especially those of you who want to stick to the dinosaur age. You've been warned. This is not the first time I warned you. And remember the last season? I say if you don't use AI, your career will die. They got a little ring rhythm to it. All right. I have said that, and it is becoming more true and true. I'm trying to prepare you for the next couple of no forget years, months, okay, at best months. Forget years at this point because it's just accelerating so quickly. It's true. 5 years from now, who knows? I'm gonna do these podcast interviews through a holographic thing for all I know. You never know, and then it's gonna be interesting. I'm probably gonna be freaked out, but I'm going to use it anyways because I need to get with the times regardless. All
Well,
right.
I feel like a conversation still can happen between real humans. If you were a hologram, I'd be less engaged with you. So I think there'll still be a lot of things humans are going to do, but we got to magnify what makes us human and let machines do the things that help us to be more successful as humans. So I won't go into a lot of that stuff. But I think your point is clear. We got to get with the program or a bunch of different programs, and we got to keep learning and be curious and grow, or we're just not going to be relevant.
Yep. And Melez used to use that a lot when a YouTuber becomes, for famous to who the heck is that? We forget them, right? Irrelevant. We throw that around. Come on, my millennials. Let's go back to the heyday of YouTube. We used to use that term a lot. All right. But he is right. Let's be a little serious for a second. He is correct. And now I don't know which one to start with. You gave me good, too good. Let's start with the business book. I think that's going to be important. Businesses want it. They want it done. But why? It's a high priority. But why do they do it so badly? Why? What do they get wrong about collaboration? What, the coworkers just hate each other? They're different tribes, or they all want to rebel against the boss? I mean, what is it?
Well, so here's my simple version of why we get collaboration wrong. Then I'm glad to share with you my thoughts about innovation because I believe if we don't collaborate, we're not going to innovate. But let me talk about this. So I go around the world and I have the privilege of speaking to lots of different audiences. And I always do an exercise at the start of a presentation in which I ask people to pair off with somebody they absolutely don't know, they've never met before. And I say, if that person in some way looks a lot different than you, pair off with them. If they're older like me, I might pair off with you. If they have an accent, if they're from a different country, if they have a different color, if they're a man or a woman or whatever their gender is. And I say, here's what I want you to do. I don't want you to talk about work at all. What I want you to do is I want you to find 10 things you have in common with that person that have nothing to do with work. And then you're going to write a list of that. People write that down. And as they're doing it, they're actually building a bond with that person because how can you dislike somebody who's like you? So the reason I mention this is as humans, we're 99.3% the same, okay? But we focus exactly what you were saying. We focus on the 0.7% that makes us different, okay? Which is a lot of BS to use a French term, okay? And so my view is this, what companies get wrong is they enable people to focus on the difference. You're younger, you're new here, you work in IT, you work in HR, you work in sales and marketing, you'd sell your own kid, if you could. So we let them focus on that before we focus them on we're all the same and we're in this together and we're trying to climb a mountain together. Let's make that happen. And so it's not unnatural that people will then say, it's me against them. Why would I collaborate with them? But if I can get people to say, they're a lot like me. They care about family. They care about community. If they're a New Yorker, damn, they really like New York. No, I like New York too. Um, they want the best, they want to learn new things. So let's focus on the things that we can agree on. We got hobbies, we like music. I like jazz, but you could like a different kind of music. I'm okay with that. But let's focus on the things that we have in common. Now, when I walk in a room with you, I suddenly say to myself, I'm a lot more like you than I realized. Now, let me use our differences as the raw material to be brilliant. But companies don't do that. They immediately put us in our group, okay? You're assigned to this group. They immediately say, you're a newbie. What are we going to learn from you? I would argue the newest people in an organization are the people that know the most because they've been somewhere else. Come on. Everybody else thinks exactly the same way because we've been sitting between these walls for a while. So I guess companies just don't appreciate. Let's start and get everybody to believe first that we're a lot alike, and second, we're in this together, and third, we got a compelling thing we got to do. We got to create a new product. We got to solve a problem. We got to do something, and now let's make it happen. But they don't do that.
Ah, you know what? You say something very profound. I'm gonna have a angry comment actually, like I normally do. If you disagree, feel free to express that. But I know most of you deep down inside, you agree with this. Come on. We got people who no, you're right. No, he's right. I know that's a bad example. We got the education people together over here. We got the operations over there. That their departments. What makes them, you know, that's the tribe right there, essentially. Oh, and sometimes there's even sub tribes. There's the fashion girls and the math guys. Okay, there you go. Those are your little sub tribes. For education, are the pro immigrant people, and then they got and the other ones is just the more I care about I'm pro college people. But there you go, sub tribes. So it's very simplistic, but you get the point. And I think the book he's referring to, correct me if I'm wrong, this the necessity of strangers, won't be surprised. Because you're getting to know someone who is very of course perceived different in terms of the physical features, but you're trying to find commonalities, which some strangers do bond quick because they find commonalities. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, you like that too? Oh, you like Yankees? Oh yeah, the Mets they stink. There you go. Nothing unites people like a common enemy. That part is true. I know that's just not in politics, even in sports too. Okay. Just see Yankees versus Mets, Red Sox. Forget it. That unites to fight people. I'll say even greater than politics, and it's still that extremely toxic, if you will. I mean, you pick a tribe, or you could, if you're in the middle, like I am normally, no, just step away. Just don't be involved. Don't be involved because you might get whacked with a bat. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. All right. So, oh man,
Yes.
it. Yeah, go ahead if
No,
you
no,
want to ask
no.
something.
You're exactly right. But we're in tribes and exclusively in tribes, and we bond with them because we allow ourselves to, and our organizations encourage it. If our organization said, we need the expertise of your department, but we need to all work together because all these departments are what it takes to get a new product launched, to talk to customers, to engage their input, then the world changes a bit. And imagine this. Um, I always say go to any company and then go to what's called the executive floor. Okay. And what are you going to see? You'll see the CEO and the COO and the chief marketing officer and the chief information officer and the chief human resources officer. And they all sit up there because they understand that if they all talk together, they get a better result. Then go to any other floor in that building and you see all the engineering people together and all the HR people together and all the IT people together. It's like they're organized like a zoo, okay? It's like Lemur Island, okay? So you can only hang out with the lemurs. So here's what I would do. I would say, let's break our organization up. Let's have pods of people in which there's a person from every department and with different seniority sitting together. They can find their tribe. I mean, they can meet them at the coffee pot or at a conference room, but let them all talk to each other and share ideas about what they know. We'd be way better off as companies.
Yeah, we would be, diversity of ideas. I mean, each of these tribes got blind spots that they're not paying attention to. And so for the department can say, no, what about, and I'm just going to use immigrating example, what about if they don't know English? Can you put it into different languages if it's a language product? There you go, inclusivity. And then the engineers are going to try to figure that out. Maybe they just say, oh, I think all of them know English. I mean, random example. And then the other ones from, well, what I'm going to use ITO, make sure it's compatible with multiple devices, not just with Apple products. Make sure it's compatible with Android products as well, just to get a bigger customer base, right? So, things like that. I mean, we get to think, the thing about diverse, people, I mean, in this case, people with diverse departments, they have to cover so much blind spots that they could come up with a truly innovative and a product that could bring their company to the next level, creating true evolution instead of just all the engineers work together, all the ITs are separate, all the educators are the next floor, whatever it is, right? So it's yeah, I mean I totally agree actually. And a lot of this is a reason he's just calling you out. That's why you suck at innovation, okay?
Hey, but
If
now
you're a CEO or CFO or CIO or COO, all these acronyms, if you feel offended, please feel offended, please.
And then
Oh,
just get your butt out and hang out with other people. Get out of your department. Talk to other people who have to do other things to make you successful. Think about entrepreneurs. I mean, I think back 37 years ago, I started our company. We were like in a dumpy townhouse, and then we grew to like 25, 30 people. We all were still in this dumpy townhouse, but we all talked to each other. We screamed across the room. We said, here's an idea. Anybody got a thought? We argued, we discussed things, but all the different ideas came together and made us better. So think about we're competing against scrappy people right now, okay? We're competing against people who get together over a weekend, eat several slices of New York style pizza, drink some of their favorite IPAs, drink some artisan coffee that costs too much, and then they come up with like a test idea and put it out in the marketplace. They're not taking the time to dislike each other. They're trying to make something happen. And so we got to have the same mindset. We got to be the people who are willing to talk to different people, are willing to try things faster, are willing to go out and get it out to the customer and get some feedback fast and make it better.
yep, I agree. Oh, he's encouraging me to quit my day job. You heard that. You could clip that if you want. Make viral content. I don't care. I just said it doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. But we'll see. We'll see. But there you go. Drum rolls. You're gonna stay in suspense. To be decided. To be announced. That one's gonna be a cliffhanger on purpose. But that's more my personal battle. You come here to hear my little personal journey. But even though I will, that'll be a solo episode when I get to it because we got a lot of wonderful guests. I gotta say, this is great. Um, so I want to switch just to the AI and the human component real quick. Just I mean, I'm just gonna frame this as simply as I can. How can we stay human in an era that's becoming more digitized? Or less human, if you will, and communication seems to be more artificial.
Well, I think you almost kind of answered your question, but let me build on what you said. So I think we're human and we stay human because we stay engaged with humans. I got to be honest, as an innovation consultant, I think humans create brilliant ideas and they use AI to help bring those ideas to life. Okay. So let me give you just a few quick examples of what humans have come up with that machines haven't come up with. Um, Personalized medicine, okay? AI enables that, but somebody had to say, damn, within the 0.7% that we're all different, some of it is our genetic makeup, and some of us are more prone to disease or illness, or um, I have a bit of trouble losing weight or whatever the case is. We can now use technology to scan my genome and say, aha, we got to make a tweak here. Okay. So AI can do that. Humans never could have figured out the details of how to do it, but they understood the need to do that, okay? Let's say my business is marketing. How many of the people listening to this get so many generic BS marketing communications? Buy this, buy that. It's like they don't know me, but companies could know me. They could capture a lot of data about me, analyze it through an AI engine, and send me a marketing message that resonated with me. I always like to say, I don't need another email, but I'll open every me mail I get because if somebody shows they know me, I'm all over that. So we can do that. Um, Somebody came up with the idea, a lot of people, I think. I hope this is not too political, that we are effing up the planet, okay? And so we got to do something to change our footprint on the planet. Part of that is sustainability. Part of it is whether we use electric vehicles or whatever the case we do. AI can help us be way more efficient at that, but it takes humans to say, let's stop. A machine isn't going to say, let's stop. So I think there's like so many examples. You mentioned earlier I can now I travel a lot for work, and a lot of times I'd be frustrated because I would like to talk to somebody in their native language, or at least hear them in their native, because that's where they're passionate. Look, I speak Swedish really poorly. My wife's from Sweden. I could stumble through in Spanish. If people really want to know what I believe, they got to hear me in English. AI has tools now. I can literally understand every other person on the planet using an AI tool. So I think there's so many good things, but the human is the connection and the human is the creativity. And I would be remiss as an innovation consultant if I didn't say everybody listening here can be remarkably curious and creative by being human.
I will add to that. Maybe you can make ads of you speaking perfect Spanish and Swedish just to trick them that you master the language. There you go, exposed right there.
I
Hey,
appreciate that.
you know what? Hey, look, if you want to gain an international consumer base or audience, that's a great idea. I mean, why not? Right? If you say you stumble through Swedish, well, the AI could help you sound even better. Just make sure it doesn't sound robotic or too clean and perfect. Maybe make it a little more human. Maybe stumble and stutter a little bit here and there to add a little human effect. Look at that. Now I'm scheming with Alan here. And while we're being recorded. Great criminals, by the way.
Well,
Look at
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. No, but you're exactly. So here, let me, to build on what you just said. So I got a marketing firm. I have this new book out, The Wisdom of Ignorance. I'm kind of nuts about this book, but my marketing firm says, Alan, wouldn't it be awesome if we used AI to create the audio version of your book? And so I said, how would we do that? Out of curiosity, I didn't do it. He said, you recite like 10 pages. I feed it into an AI engine and it reads the rest of your book to kind of sound like you. But you hit on it. Um, I ended up reading my whole book. I'm the original artist on the audio version. I make some mistakes, okay? That's part of being human. People expect, you don't read everything or watch everything and people are perfect. You don't go to a tennis match and everybody hits a perfect shot. Part of being human is we make mistakes and we appreciate each other for that. So my audio book, it's not perfect. It's not generated by a machine, but I feel like people will say, that's a real dude. He read his own book.
Yep. Being imperfect does make you human. I mean, that's the main point right there. Especially, I already allude to that with the stumbles or even saying the word incorrectly. I mean, if you want to add that extra human touch, or look at that again, scheming here. Let's add that human connection with using AI. I mean, no, but there's so much you can use. Even the education video. I mean, there's so much. The only limitation is really just your imagination. At the end of the day, and
And your
you know,
ability to think about within all these domains, like some of you have mentioned, what are the things AI would be awesome at? So you even mentioned learning. Let's think about training. There's a bunch of training in which, damn, I don't need a human to train me to do that. But there's a bunch of training that is about somebody cared about me, inspiring me, believing in me, patting me on the back when I do well, correcting me in a way that moves me forward. I'd like a human to do that. So I want to learn a bunch of stuff just online or in an AI engine, but there's certain things I want to learn in which I want a mentor and somebody who actually can make me smarter and make me feel good about myself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't need a human for everything. That I agree with. Like how to fix my toilet. I actually didn't need a human. Well, I kind of did. Let me not lie because they had to do the demonstration, all that. So that's a human component actually being needed. Okay, and then the recording and all the editing and all that. That's the tech. That's the tech stuff. But the good thing about YouTube and learning, I'm actually feel like I'm learning a lot better, especially on things I was weak at. Cooking, fixing. Look, I'm doing better because of YouTube videos. The human will just be impatient after I was, oh, why you not learning? With a video, okay, I'll just go back a couple of seconds. The video's not going to yell at me unless I don't know, digital ghost corrupted it or something, which I highly doubt that. That's probably like a 1 in a millionth chance. let's be honest. But a human losing their sanity is a lot higher than that. Let's just
Well,
be
yeah,
honest.
but look, I
Go,
think
but go ahead. Yeah.
you can use technology to produce a lot of the stuff you do, but you've had what, like 300 conversations with humans? And part of it is the give and take, the interaction, the listening, and it prompts you to think differently. I would hate to think that I'm sitting across from a bot that's just looking for keywords and then says, okay, tell me more about this.
Oh, well, let me be monotonous. Okay. Tell me this. Conversation concluded.
Oh,
There you go.
you're killing me.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, but to get your point. Well, I mean, the only thing I gotta say is, look, I don't expect you to listen to every single episode. I mean, that's just bananas. But it started solo and started third season. I started bringing guests. So it was just about what I know, what was going on, and I was experimenting too. And then the podcast grew and evolved. And I became serious with it with about a third season. I started getting more serious about. I started being more creative with the music. Started bringing people on. I always wanted guests. I always wanted guests. I got tired of talking to myself with the computer. That was the first 70 episodes. And it started episode 80 and on where I started having some guests sprinkled on. Now there's more guests than solo episodes. Before there was a lot more solo episodes than guests. That was the first 3 seasons. Season 4 and onward, that's episode 141 on. That's where videos start coming in. There's a lot more guests than solo at this point. The guests are dominating, and it's great because I like talking to different people. So I don't mind talking to myself, but I feel like I'm done. I feel like I did all I could, you know, doing it the most non-human interactive way possible. So it needed to evolve. It needs to evolve. And a lot of stats clearly show this is now putting my podcast hat that people will listen to podcasts more if they have 2 or 3 people in it instead of just a solo. I mean, unless the person's real big. Otherwise, people are just not going to listen to it. So, to your point, yeah, I mean, not all of them had 300, yes, but the majority does now. I would say like a good 60% of episodes is going to creep to 70 at this point, have guests. Because, look, I want to share, and talk to people more. And it's not just for them, it's for me too. I've been shaped and changed in subtle ways that I've started to notice. It's okay. I'm not what will be a good way? Not assuming certain things. When it comes to the political thing, I used to think, okay, this person says this point, racial information, all that. Okay, this person's a Democrat. I got a lot of it right, but there was some that I got wrong. That I was like, oh, oops. Thank goodness it wasn't recorded. Whew. If it was recorded, I mean, that would have been a blunder. But, it taught me how to think things differently. Like there was a decent amount of, I'm going to use this political stat that I have few of them black Republicans. I mean, they're not, of course, the black Democrats more common, but don't worry. Don't attack the guests in politics. Okay. I know you talk about destroying the planet, but that's not really a political issue. That's a
Well, it
survival
shouldn't
issue.
be a political issue,
I
should it?
agree.
It shouldn't be that I have any political view other than we ought to protect the place we live in.
Oh, exactly. And I said it before. So it shouldn't be a political issue. I mean, and then I can actually make it. Well, don't know. If I start explaining the left and the right version of it, it's going to become too political. Never mind that. I already said, look, Republicans call it conservation, Democrats call it climate change. They approach how to protect the environment very differently. That's all I'm going to say. This is not a very political episode. That's why I'm not going to elaborate on that. But we should be caring and, find ways just to make it, clean energy, stop harming the earth because look, Mother Nature, Earth could strike back.
Well, I think it's already started to strike back with extreme weather, but we shouldn't
Yeah,
even think
true.
about
True that. True.
a lot of things shouldn't be political. What we eat, that shouldn't be political, okay? So imagine this shocking statistic. Before the 1930s, all food was organic, okay? That's when we started putting chemicals on it, which has led to ultra processed food. Now we pay like a premium for organic food for somebody just to grow our food without putting crap on it. For tens of thousands of years, people ate healthier food than we eat, and this is 2025. So I don't see why a lot of this stuff is political. I just believe it's about humans taking care of themselves and the place we live.
Some of them are going to label you left. That's just a reality. That's so my audience. I won't be surprised. I'm going to get at least one comment saying, he's left wing. I said, no, just because he care about Earth and eating healthy. I can understand about, pro government and all that. Fine. But I'm not hearing pro government or social programs. Like that's more definitely left. That's
I
okay.
feel
Yeah.
like we all should protect the earth. We all have a responsibility to our
Yeah.
children and our grandchildren, and we
Mhm.
all should take care of our bodies by eating healthy food. I don't believe that's political.
No, I agree. Like I said, it should not be political at all. But somehow it is. And this is a shout out to, this data analyst, tech genius Walter Harrison. Check out his product about tech that shows you where's the local food store. It's about how data has been politicized. So sadly, it is being politicized. And he used it for, of course, corporate greed and all that. Okay, now that's that shouldn't be political either, but that also is political. What a wacky time! What a wacky time!
But
Before this episode gets too political, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but let me, because I did want to talk a bit and get your audience to understand. I said at the outset, part of my passion is getting individuals and organizations to get innovation right. So now I want to I don't throw out a lot of statistics, but I'm going to throw out a statistic that I've been working on for 37 years. And that's simply what I call the 99% rule. And it ought to change the thinking of everybody listening. It turns out throughout the course of human history, 99% of all new ideas have been based on somebody else's thinking or something found in nature. So if that's the case, I can be innovative by just finding a brilliant idea and adapting it to the world or the industry I'm in. But that's not what companies do. What companies do is this: companies get like their smartest people in a room and they give them all a blank sheet of paper or a beautiful whiteboard, and they say, okay, we got to come up with a new product. Does anybody have an out of the box idea? Like, what a crock. Does anybody have an out of the box idea? It's like, oh, great. You guys have used like part of your brain the rest of the time. Now we need you to turn on that part of your brain that's innovative. I mean, that's insanity. But I can get people to be innovative, every single person listening to this podcast, by simply saying, don't take out a white sheet of paper, leave the office, wander around a city, wander around in nature, look for things that are remarkable, write down things that strike you as remarkable. Use those as the starting point for doing remarkable things for your customers. That's how innovation happens. Yet most companies don't do it. They never leave the office. They never sanction their people looking around for brilliant ideas. And that's why they get blindsided, not because they aren't good, but because somebody else out there is better. Somebody else is more brilliant. People say to me, our customers are happy with us. We can keep doing the same thing. They're only happy with you because they haven't seen better. As soon as they see something better, you're out of there. So, yeah, so I say just get out, and that's the key. We'll go back to That's what we did as kids. It's like, when is dinner time? Okay. Until then, I'm riding my bike. I'm causing trouble. I'm being curious. So we got to do that as adults.
You know what? For those of you that want to challenge it, you boring fossil brain people, no, challenge him. No, really, put in the comment section. You got a better idea than that? This is, he's tapping into, I think there's an overarching theme here. He's actually the good part of humanity that we just either deactivate, best case scenario for those of you who are stagnant, or just get rid of it. And I agree, because it's true, when I go outside, wander, especially I was aimlessly bored and started taking notes, and that helped me be more creative. So what if I spin this? What if I put this, how I introduced Alan, for example. It's like, oh, is he crazy? Whatever, just you have to walk, because that's how your brain works. I think both sides of the brains are working in sync together. I was like, okay, this is the data. Okay, this is the intellect, data part, logical part, and there's the creative, innovative part working together, coming with the best ideas. Right? And no, it's very true. When you walk out there, you start seeing remarkable things, and it's not planned, by the way. And this is how some cures happen. They wanted to cure I'm gonna mix up the diseases here. They wanted to cure one disease, but actually help with another disease, because they tested on different things. That's how cures for diseases happen. They want to cure AIDS, for example, but they cured something else that they also had a problem with. I mean, things do happen. Sometimes, you pivot, you pick up ideas, and then not ideas, but things and clues and designs, and you start putting them together, and it becomes a interesting idea, to
Well,
say the
and you're
least.
right. So a lot of great ideas happen by what I think we can simply call serendipity, but we make serendipity happen by getting off our butts and getting out there and engaging the world. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm guessing pretty much everyone who listens, wherever they are in the world, is using Uber either to get a ride or to get food. Okay. Did the folks who started Uber know a lot about the cab business? They knew nothing about the cab business. Did they have trouble finding a cab in Paris on a winter night and suddenly said, 99% rule is in effect, oh, wait a minute. There's something called GPS. There's something called global positioning systems. I can find somebody with a car and somebody who needs a ride, and I can geographically bring these people together. That's kind of cool. Nobody in the cab business thought about that, and they've been driving people around since there were cars. So it's all about serendipity, okay? The guys who started Netflix, did they intend to disrupt Blockbuster? No, they just wanted to find an idea that would scale. And at the time they were looking for the idea, suddenly a new technology, spoiler alert, the DVD was coming out and it weighed next to nothing. And they said, we can mail these suckers to people, and that's going to put Blockbuster out of business because they don't have to leave their home. They don't have to pay late fees. We just mail them, and when they mail it back, we'll send them another one. But if they don't mail it back, they don't get another video. And so that was the start of their journey. The guys who started Southwest Airlines, they didn't know anything about airlines. They just thought airlines should be like a bus. It should be affordable for people. Sarah Blakely, who started Spanx, she was like a fax machine door-to-door saleswoman. Okay, like some of your listeners are going, what's a fax machine and who would sell door to door? And she suddenly said, I don't feel so good. People can see my underwear through my pants. I need to figure out some clothing that puts that panty line out of the way. And that's how she became kind of a billionaire and created Spanx. Wasn't like she was in the clothing business. So I just feel like get up, find a problem that really matters to you and make something happen.
Listeners and viewers, I really hope you've been paying attention here. It's been so much value been spewed, not spewed,
Spewed, come
delivered.
on, man.
All right. Delivered. This is going to your ears. I hope your ears are dancing with joy. And if it's not dancing with joy, you're not human. You're a bot. Okay. Yes, I'm going to start saying that. No. You see, it's a good thing you catch me there because I tend to be careless with my word. It's true. Deliver. You see,
No, I'm
out of
okay,
my.
but,
No,
I'm
I don't.
hoping I'm not spewing stuff.
No. You're not.
Wait a
Wrong word, just
second.
wrong word choice. I'm gonna be serious. And this is a serious common activity, instead of the ones I like to engage with the trolls and the haters. What's your takeaway so far? I'm gonna ask this one more time at the end. What's your takeaway? This what's your takeaway of this? What have you learned that you didn't hear before? I'm sure this may be factual to some of you, and some of you is like, "What? Really?" Or some just say, "Oh, this guy is crazy." Try to gauge all of you, the positive, the skeptics, and the haters. Well, I don't care about you as much. You're just gonna hate anyways. I still love you, even though I like to verbally attack you in the podcast. All right, so I got one last one because I know I'm definitely not gonna break this promise. Let's attack that new book that's coming up. That new book that has a chapter one free, by the way. I read a little bit of it. I'm not gonna give much away. I'm gonna be very stingy here. The wisdom of ignorance. Does that sound crazy to you? How can you be ignorant? Well, how can you find wisdom in ignorance? How, people?
Good
How?
question. I love that question. I mean, I wrote a book about it, so I better love that question. Think about it in simple terms this way. If I know a lot about something, I can make it better. I know the ins and outs of it. I can incrementally add a feature, support it better, create a better supply chain for it. I know exactly what to do. But if I don't know something about something, I have a chance to create a breakthrough because I approach it with an open mind and open eyes. I believe it's possible. Or if I suspend my knowledge, I have a chance to make a difference. Think about this example. Jackson Chimbanda is one of 13. There's only like 13 licensed psychiatrists in the whole country of Zimbabwe. 13, there's 17 million people in Zimbabwe. Mental health is distributed around the world. Mental health issues, depression, suicide, same around the world. He says to himself, damn, there's only 13 of us. There's no way we can help an entire country. So he says, I got to step out of my psychiatrist shoes and imagine a way to support young people. And he says to himself, grandmothers, they're the most trusted people in our society. And I would argue they're the most trusted people in most societies. He decides to train a nation of grandmothers to provide talk therapy to kids who have depression. And he puts benches in every town in Zimbabwe and says, you're not feeling good, you're thinking about suicide, book a time with a grandmother. Nobody's going to do something drastic next to a grandmother. And I believe they might listen, and a grandmother's going to share the same message with them that I share with you. And that is, I believe in everybody listening to this podcast. I believe in their power to make a difference, to be innovative and creative. He says, I need you to tell those young people you believe in them. They can make a difference. So that's like a radical idea from a guy who was willing to say, I'm an expert in something, but my expertise isn't solving this problem. And so the wisdom of ignorance is all about the notion that we either have to not know a lot or we have to step outside our expertise to create a breakthrough. And if we don't in our industry or in the world around us, somebody else will.
Are you convinced, listeners or viewers? Ask the next question. Did he answer that question well? I got my opinion. And if you figure it out, well, insert cheap Jeopardy music. I don't feel like inserting it. Do 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 do. Okay, fast forward. I don't got the patience. My New York anxiety is kicking in. There you go. More psych help right there, right? No, but no, that's such a great answer. I mean, that's such a great answer. You have to you step out of your expertise zone and you step into the unknown and it come to but the thing is, he brought a couple of things that he know like could be applicable to the unknown, right? Because he put two together. Grandmother, the most trusting, that could deliver that therapeutic service to tackle mental health. That was his expertise, but you had to tie in who's trustworthy, grandmothers. Yeah, especially I think America. That's probably like the only my perspective. I don't know. America's we kind of treat them like they see now cooks. We dump them in the nursing home.
And
Sadly,
we shouldn't, right? they should be as big a part of our life as our kids are. Okay. And I don't believe that's political. I believe that's just about being human.
I will not argue with that. And I even brought this up in my job. I said, no, I think Grandparents' Day should be as valued as Mother's and Father's Day. It's not a big celebration in
I agree
America.
with you there. Of course, why not? And why not get these kids to have grandparents come in and have a better appreciation? Let's keep them in our lives. Let's not put them in a nursing home. Okay.
No, I love it. No, I advocate. No, we speak up. I agree because I think America doesn't do such a good job treating some of its elders. I mean, I have to call out. I love America. I believe in tough love. I got to call out on the BS, and I think this is why family structures continue to fragment further. You know, believe it or not, sometimes it's a grandmother that keeps the whole family together. Okay, I mean, just that one person. And I personally knew a friend's ex girlfriend, and leave him anonymous, that once that grandmother died, that family broke apart to pieces. And I don't know if it's going to ever come back because she was the glue.
Well,
You
so
can't be you can't be throwing away human glue of wisdom, people. Oh, that probably didn't went right. Don't throw away your grandma like she's trash.
well,
There
yeah.
you
So
go.
I love America too, but I know that in other cultures, older people are more appreciated and revered. And so I'm just going to leave that one at that. But I believe we could learn. I say get out. We could learn from some other places about respecting and valuing people who are older.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree because I agree. I mean, you know what? I could get into it. Not going to. We need to do better, America. I think I won't be surprised we are low in terms of treating elders well. That we're pretty low on that worldwide. I won't be surprised. I mean, other nations. You can talk about Asian nations, African nations, even some Muslim nations. Well, actually, I'm not sure about them to some degree. It's normally the man that's in charge, but probably grandfathers. Yeah, then yeah, not grandmas. Probably not as much. Feel free to correct me. Feel free to correct me because I've been studying Muslim cultures I got used to. So feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. There you go. That's another common activity right there. Um, yeah, and Eastern Europe, I think, does that. Western Europe, I'm not so sure either. And well, Canada, I'm just gonna leave you out because I don't know.
But but I wanted, that's one example. But the book, of course, is filled with lots of business examples. And if people reach out to me, I'm delighted to learn more about what they're up to and share with them some examples that I think will spark their thinking about how they can be remarkable. But I guess the fundamental point is I want people to believe that there's a good type of ignorance. So of course, you put this title out and people go, I'm surrounded by stupidity, and there's a lot of stupid stuff going on and a lot of stupid people. That's not the kind of ignorance I'm talking about. I'm talking about what I call enlightened ignorance, and that's the idea that I don't know, but I want to learn. So when you're talking about the things you want to learn, I want to learn how to solve this problem. I don't know the answer, but I'm determined to figure out the information I need to solve this problem. That's the kind of ignorance that actually has guided human progress since the beginning of humans, okay? Because humans didn't know a lot of stuff and they figured it out because they needed to know. That's why kids are so awesome to me. Look, small kids, they want to know stuff, they want to learn stuff. How many small kids are born to be able to ride a bicycle? They don't know, but they study older kids and then they try and then they bruise themselves and then they eventually figure out how to balance. I want to, as an adult, figure out the things I want to know that make a difference, and I want to learn that stuff. And I'm okay being ignorant at the start. I'm not okay being ignorant at the end.
Take that to heart, people. You can be ignorant. Ignorance at the beginning is fine, but if you stay ignorant, I'm just gonna use the more blunt word, but it's more precise, stupid at this point, then yeah, that's a problem. And if you have enough awareness left, seek help. Talk to other people. Be human. Human exchange of ideas is one way to stimulate your brain. It's not that hard to do unless you're a loner. And if you're a loner, seek help, like I said. That's all I'm going to say about that.
So, of course, I would love for people to connect with me. First, I'd love them to read the book, so the book's going to be available everywhere. If they want to hear more of my voice, they can get the audio version. Otherwise, they can get any version they want, the actual version. I'd love them to buy it. I'd love them to read it somewhere public. I'd love them to say to other people, maybe you ought to read this book. It provides kind of a formula. I was really lucky. Mel Robbins wrote for the cover of the book, "This book's a permission slip to start doing things before you know all the answers." And I just want people to do that. I want them to connect with me. They can go to my website, alangregerman.com. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. They can send me an email. I'll respond to emails. If they think I'm an idiot, let me know that. I'm eager to hear other opinions. I just want to learn and grow, and I want to stay curious my whole life.
Come on, he's a great person. Come on, people. Normally I like to be the cynical, the dark one here, but I want to be the light one here. See, there's some influence right there. Normally I would say, do you hate him yet? He pissed off your traditional thinking? That he rattled your cages mentally because of your traditional stiff-headed thinking? Well, okay, you get the point, people. All of that's going to be in the link of the episode description, which is highlighted points. You'll see how you could contact him. Friendly guy, he likes to talk and he talks some good stuff. I just hope he's not just a passive thing in the background. Take note of this. Check his website. It's not the only book he wrote. He wrote a couple of others. I already referred to one in the Necessity of Strangers. We refer to people, just two people for completely different departments get together, find 10 things in common. Necessity of Strangers. And I think, what's funny? This is what I've learned. And if you would have told me this 15 years ago, I would have been adamantly opposed to it because I say, you crazy? No, people will support you. It turns out strangers are pretty supportive because they don't have that bias. Oh, they think they know you well. They know you're gonna fail at and what you're gonna succeed at. I mean, some of it is true. Don't get me wrong, and some of it is false because they tend to overextend what they know. But the strangers, once you get like the right amount of information, let's just say that. But if you just talk too damn much and spill embarrassing information, of course you ruin that opportunity. That's on you. Okay, just use judgment and discretion when you do that. So the Necessity of Strangers, that's not what I alluded to. I'm not sure that exercise was from that, but I won't be surprised it is. I haven't read it. Don't think I'm a know-it-all. I haven't read it. But get that book. Get that Wisdom of Ignorance. Challenge your comfortable thinking, just challenge that traditional thinking, and he already explained it well. There is wisdom of enlightened ignorance. But I love the title. That caught my attention right away. I thought he's either a mad genius or just mad. Okay. But hey, it's a hook. It gets your attention. That's what I'm going to say about that. Again, check his website. I'll put his link in as well, and you'll see all the stuff that he has done and currently doing because this is a pre-order. It should be out October 14th.
October 14th. It'll be available. I like to say wherever thoughtful books are sold. If you like it online, buy it there. If you like a bookstore, ask them to stock it. Yeah, no. I just would love to communicate with some of your listeners and get their feedback on the book. That'd be awesome.
Yep. All right, listeners, that's your CTA, your call to action right there. I'm already saying it, but if you haven't figured that out, that's your call to action. I don't have to do anything from the ads. That is brilliant. Now for my podcast, give a like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it. And then for the audio listeners, give an honest review. I do say honest. So I'm going to say give it 5-star. I don't believe in begging and kissing your butt for it. If it's a great episode, 5-star. If it's a 4-star, was one thing that could be improved. I'll be something, not just this episode is great. To me, that compliment don't mean anything. What made it great? I'll continue to work on that. And what made it not so great? So I could cut it down either completely or just minimize it or use it when I think appropriate. For example, if you want me to stop with the crazy introduction. I think I liked it personally. It brings some entertainment because you got to be a little bit entertained. You can't just have can't be smart and know it all. That doesn't work anymore. That probably worked in 1990s, but we in 2025 for Christ's sake. You got to have pizzazz. You got to have riz again, charisma, personality. Okay. Charisma's for the more traditional generations. Yeah, I think I'm half traditional. No, not even. We like early progressives in terms of generations. Then the Gen Z take it to another level. Then the Alpha take it to another level. And God knows what the Beta is gonna do. We probably won't find out till 5 years right now or 10. That's probably the only thing that's gonna be slow. But the AI and God knows whatever technology is coming up. There's already robots that can make babies. Yeah, a thing in China. Yep, I didn't think that was possible, but here we are. So you never know what's going to happen. The good, the bad, the ugly, the freaky, the unknown, and the random. Okay, that's the future. And I am actually enjoying the ride for once. I could say that instead of just being doom and gloom about all of it because it's just going to happen regardless. Hop on a train or get left behind at this point. The innovation future train. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. That's my little analogy for that. And if you have a little green, feel free to donate that if you want. You get access to my old, more cringeworthy episodes. You get to hurt me personally. I get to hurt your wallet. Fair exchange, right? Which is going to do little damage anyways. $3 a month. Okay. And you get a shout out. And I'm thinking about doing some exclusive episodes. It maybe make the Bible more interesting. Some might hate it, some might love it. That's gonna be controversial. Make it a little more entertaining, but without the disrespect of the Lord. That's the only rule. Other than that, all the other characters are fair game for criticism. Even the great David and Moses, and even what's the great Paul. All right, so that's what I'm gonna say about that. So this ends a visual or audio journey. So your brave self reaching to this point. And for that, I'm gonna say have a blessed day, afternoon, or night.
Thank you.